Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here for the first real video of the year. And it is a Netta deity video. Galactic Magic comes at the end of this month, with hopefully no delays, otherwise that will screw up a lot of what I'm working on. Either way, we have one more missing deity I can safely do without Starfinder standing in my way. Torag, God of the Forge, Protection, and Strategy. The father of the Dwarves, and leader of the Dwarven Pantheon. No use stalling, so let's get started. As per tradition, a quick overview of where you can find information on Torag yourself. First, as with all these deities, the 1E and 2E gods and magic is where the basic information is. For full write-ups, our Dwarvish father got his in Book 2 of the Shattered Star, titled The Curse of Lady's Light, which of course was reprinted in Inner Gods. Him being a good deity, further information can be found in the books Faiths of Purity, and one more bit of information in Paths of the Righteous. We are getting more information from the book Divine Anthology today, which I always love. And finally, Planar Allies is, as always, the best place to find information on Divine Realms, including the home of Torag and his family. Dwarves tell the story of how their father was the one who created Golarion, shaping the planet upon his forge, hammering again and again and again as he shaped the world to his standard of perfection. At the very least, we can say he was the one who forged the prison at its center. So, maybe not all fiction. Either way, it is that the pebbles chipped off in this process formed the original dwarfs, who would find a home in the underground, working for Torag's approval. For his part, the father of creation acted as a distant father, the old movie standard of one who loves his children to death, but is too stereotypically manly to show affection. So he is distant but caring, only ever giving his children a single direct prophecy: the crest for sky. A topic better for the day I do a Dwarvish video. Appearance-wise, he usually manifests as an old dwarf dressed in heavy plate armor. His hair is any dwarven color, with streaks of gray, and his eyes are of molten lead, because Smith God. His hands are also worn from all those hours of dwarven smith godding. In art, his armor is the most convoluted, intricate, possible, and he is almost always depicted at a forge, hammering away at a weapon. Either that, or striking down orcs and trolls with his warhammer Keglamos. Close enough. His domain, as one would expect the father of the dwarfs, is the forge and smithing. He instructs his followers to make well-designed metal masterpieces. Emphasis on well-designed, as he considers shoddy tools to be the ultimate insult. After all, any goblins can simply shape metal. It takes a true dwarf to make something right. He pushes his followers to always improve their craft, whether their materials or their methods. Finally, he is against the bearing of weapons or armor that are still good. After all, he is also a deity who stands over the fence. He teaches his followers to work together, like chainmail, with well-thought strategy. And he respects leaders who can tell when a plan is falling apart and who think on their feet. But one must never act without thinking, because it puts the community at risk. and well, they are dwarfs. Community is everything. Of course, it should be noted that not all of Torag's followers are dwarfs. Just most of them. Because he is the dwarf father, not the dwarfs and these other people father. But worship is worship, and if humans want to be clerics, so be it. It should also be noted almost all followers practice some form of smithing, because of course they do. They can also commonly be found in community positions. Boring animals are sacred to Torag, and dwarfs only eat them in emergencies, while bats are completely considered unclean. That's right. Pies remember token-based dwarven culture off of Jewish culture originally. Finally, worshippers of Torag tend to show so by braiding their beards with metal bands. Dwarves actually take good care of their beards, but that is a topic for another day. Which starts us comfortably into our first side tangent, the part of the show where I get uncreative. Well, not uncreative, just more focused on defense and strategy. Like today's first, the Sacred Sentinels. These are paladins by a different name, mortal shields who stand wherever their father tells them to, traveling to every front line where they could potentially be needed. Most are dwarfs, but some, like the Lenorm Guard and the Lands of Lenorm Kings, are humans. Such warriors create barriers, heal or strengthen their allies with a touch, and increase their connection with their animal companions or familiars. They are even able to continue standing if they die, using their body as a final shield for their allies. There truly is no better example of Torag's will. Except, blacksmiths. So, the clergy of Torag. They get up in the morning, start the forge, eat breakfast while waiting for it to warm up to the appropriate temperature, and then work as a morning prayer. The dwarf jokes just write themselves. Most non-adventurer priests also work as smiths for the military government. They often do not create works of art like regular followers, but make it as durable and high quality as they can. Those who do not smith find themselves instead in positions of leadership, using their knowledge to instruct people to build walls or fight on the battlefield. Or smith. Okay, I'll stop. For now. Either way, clerics of Torag never stop working, and usually have small craft projects on hand to work with whenever they are forced to sit down. In terms of setup, priests are like an army, and promotions are given by proving themselves in heroics or innovations in... Well, okay, I cannot stop because it is written right here. Smithing. Now, going into temples, a quick question. How do you think a dwarven temple would look? If your answer was as a functioning furnace with an anvil in the middle, you would not be disappointed. I said furnace instead of forge, didn't I? Anyway, the faithful work here all hours of the day, necessitating for people to have separate buildings for sleep, and for any chamber like infirmaries to have some level of soundproofing. If settlement has walls, Torag's temples tend to be part of them, making it easier for priests to tell everyone else how wrong the walls are built. When a temple needs to be expanded, they just build a new temple around it, eventually making such places a nice mausoleum, or fortress. Regardless of shrines or temples, they tend to have shelves to place figures of Torag and his family for prayer. Torag's divine realm is a place called Forgeheart. It is part of heaven, but instead of being part of the various tiers, the Dwarves, as one would expect, prefer the city inside the mountain. Here, Torag's family lives their lives, and his followers spend their afterlives doing what they love best, continuously creating armor for the endless war between heaven and fiends, while also continuously building defenses. It's almost like the Dwarves never died, just moved to a new smithy. Now for miscellaneous facts of the faith. The places where Torag's faith is strongest is where Dwarven influence is strongest, that being Five Kings Mountain and the Manor Wastes. Droma, in the shadow of Five Kings, also has decent Torag faith, and the largest concentration of non-dwarf worshippers can be found in the land of the Lorem Kings. Followers of Torag tend to not enjoy lavish holidays, though significant battles anniversaries are met with feast and ale. However, the holiday of Sky Lost, the remembrance when the Sky Citadel fell, is an important holiday towards a Dwarven dysphoria. Finally, his holy book is a work known as The Forging of Metal and Other Good Works, a metal book with leather pages, a book about smithing and stonework, as well as how to fight predatory monsters. Which, as usual, when it comes to holy books, we have a high chance of a second side tangent to look at from other books of the faithful. After all, the Divine Anthology has many good in-universe books, with half of the main deities getting a divine fighting style. This of course includes Torag and his famed style, Torag's Patient Strike. Found in the book Lessons of the Father, is widespread among the Dwarves, but non-Dwarves probably will have a hard time tracking one down, considering it required by religious mandate that it needs to be scribed by Dwarven hands, on Dwarven iron and stone, and usually weighs more than 100 pounds. This allows the improvement of one's defensive fighting, allowing one wielding a warhammer to have multiple attacks of opportunity, and they can disarm, trip, or do increased damage on top of it. Now, for the one who likes community, let's look at his relationship with others. As his painter allies, we have Ambassador Zorin, a Nazair, a dwarf-like creature from the plane of fire, dressed in brass armor. He is skilled with tactics, both at the table and on the battlefield, and acts as an emissary to the plane of fire. Stone River is a very special bullet, which swims through lava and has an actual measurable intelligence, and is a good boy. Hrioga Shield Maiden is a Dwarven werebear. While she can give orders, she prefers to stand on the front lines in her golden bear form. Finally, Torag's herald is the Great Defender, an iron golem controlled by the souls of those who worship Torag, each taking their turns at watch duty, as it were. The construct is a walking fortress, with those who break through a layer of armor finds a slightly smaller iron dwarf inside. When it comes to fellow deities, Torag's faithful find Rovagug too aggressive and Serenray too passive. It is more disciplined and law-abiding deities like Abadar or Aurora, which he can deal with easily. He respects the Armaday for being an offense which matches his defense, and Kalian, if you didn't know, really likes ale, so. The demon lord Moloch stands as his opponent, and Zeus Voltaire, the Lord of Fire Giants, thinks that Torag's worshippers would make good slaves. And of course, I could not do this video without going into the Dwarven pantheon as our third side tangent. To dwarfs, worshipping the entirety of Torag's family is just no part of life. There are a few who worship the individual deities themselves, with most instead worshipping Torag and then them, or them for special occasions which fit their territory, like weddings and funerals. So, quickly going through the list of family members, first is Magrim, who is Torag's older brother, who watches the souls of the dwarfs, and then their younger brother, Agrad, who is the aggressive tactics to his more defensive brother. Folgrit is Torag's wife, who is said to care for him at home, and watches over those whose families are away at war. Then there is Drangavit, an interesting deity, with some sources claiming her as Torag's half-sister, while others as an elder woman who fought for his affection. Either way, she now makes sure that all debts are paid, or else. Getting into children, Torag has 3 sons and a daughter. Going through, first we have Bolka, the daughter who arranges marriages for dwarfs. Gwendonar, the Dwarven deity who makes peace. Coles, the Dwarven deity of the opposite, Oathbreakers beware. And the youngest, Thrud, who has just a short beard, but is the physically strongest of the group, and he is the one who typically guards their home. And continuing on, we go with our fourth side tangent, the Dwarven deity who is not part of Torag's family, Droskar, the Dark Smith. He was once Torag's buddy student, until the day Torag caught him falsely stealing his work from a fellow student. Torag exiled Droskar, cursing him with never being able to create anything with his own hands. And in turn, Droskar slew his former slave to deny him the demigodhood he deserved. It would have ended there. If he had not heard the cries of the dwarfs who had not followed Torag's quest for sky and been abandoned. Droskar gave them a god who would offer them purpose and protection. The dwarfs, the first Draga, gave him everything they had. Droskar appears as a giant Draga, always taller than anyone else around him, with hair and beard of black smoke, dressed in a forge apron and clutching the soul chain, a chain wrapped around the soul of anyone who that he holds dominion over. He teaches his followers that the strong should dominate the weak, which is why advancement is so often done by killing one's own master. His place of worship or place of labor, with his 7 grand temples being magnificent architectural wonders. His holy book, the Book of Chains, was created when Droskar walked through one of the greatest orators of his church, which burned the Dragar's body to ashes in the process. And his divine realm is the Ashen Forge, the abyssal realm where his throne sits in the center of a web of chains, his worshippers working on every surface. And that should tell us everything we need to know about the father of dwarfs. However, it does not tell us everything we need to know about dwarfs in general? That's right. Come back next week for me to spill some of the secrets of dwarf kind. The main deity did not go much beyond smithing, but how do dwarfs in general hold up? Come back next week to see.